Welcome to the Mom CEO podcast. I'm your host, Esther Roach. Join me as we explore the dynamic intersection of motherhood and entrepreneurship. From the challenges to the triumphs, we're here to unravel it all. Get ready for insightful conversations, practical wisdom, and a whole lot of inspiration. Let's embark on this empowering journey together.
Hello and welcome to the Mom CEO podcast. I'm your host, Esther Roach, and today I'm joined by Bunmi. Hello, Bunmi, and welcome to the show.
Hello, Esther. Good morning. Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here. I do not take it lightly.
Thank you.
Yes, it is what it is.
Thank you very much for joining me. If you'd like to just introduce yourself to the audience, please.
So my name is Bunmi Jejeloye. I'm a stay-at-home mom to 3 lovely kids, and I'm a bookkeeper. I'm a self-employed bookkeeper. So I provide bookkeeping services to small and growing businesses. And by saying bookkeeping, I'm a financial support body to small businesses so they'll gain clarity with regards to the numbers behind their business. So they have a clear and a good understanding of what the numbers behind their business is saying. Yeah, so that's what I do.
Well, that's really interesting because, the topic or the area that you cover, to be honest, I think a lot of small businesses and even bigger businesses that I speak to are always worried about the finances. It's one of those areas that is quite scary for so many people. And it's really good to see that, you're helping people with obviously getting that sorted, but also having the clarity. But what gave you the courage, shall I say, to start? Because your story, you didn't just start being a businesswoman, you were a stay-at-home mom. Or what made you start?
So initially, I was in the corporate world. Before I got married, I was in the corporate world, and I left the corporate world to go back to school to have my master's degree. And I was back here in the United Kingdom. And then my husband-to-be was back home in Africa. And so I had to go back home and got married and stayed back in Africa. And, the children started coming. But back in Africa, you have the support system. You have people around you. You have mothers. You have aunties. Everyone is able to support you. So going back to the corporate world after having my first baby was not so difficult because you have people to care for your younger ones. And fast forward into that, my husband came back to the UK for work. And by then, I already had 2 babies. And when I came back to join him here in the United Kingdom, I came back with 2 babies. And the story changed because back home, you had all the support. But here, I realized I had to do everything by myself. I had a 1-year-old at that time. And when I tried to get some jobs, and I tried to ask them, I have 2 babies, I have a toddler, I have a grown one, but the school pickups and everything. And every job I tried to apply to at that time was like, oh no, you have to do a 9 to 5 or 8 to 4. And there was no way in between. I could do the drop off, the pickups, and caring for a 1-year-old at that time. And all the childcare I checked around, the rates were, oh my God, it was mind blowing. I was like, it was virtually like I was working. Everything I was going to earn, I was going to just give it back to the childcare. And my husband's job was demanding, and there was no how we could juggle between ourselves to do the pickups or care for the children. I just realized, you know what? This is a sacrifice I'm going to do. I'm going to stay home and care for my kids because that's what they deserve, all the love and all the care. And that's how I decided to dump everything, the degrees and everything, and stay home with my kids. But I know so many women are in that situation because we look at it. When I was doing it, I was happy taking care of my kids as their mom. But deep down, something was dying inside of me. I felt there was more to this. Why can't I give so much to my kids at the same time, have a life outside of family as well, and also support the family as well, And I started thinking about it. And to be honest, I didn't have anyone to speak to. I didn't have anybody to ask around because, coming from an ethnic background, and I'm looking around me, and I was always at home. I didn't used to go out because I had kids to care for. I just started going online, checking for things, like everybody, I'm sure, Googled so many things, tried to sell on Shopify, but it was not just what I could do. And in the process of my research, to be honest, I didn't have nobody to speak with. And I stumbled on the word virtual assistant. I was like, oh, what's this? And I listened, Googled, I was like, oh, this is something I think I could do because I've been in the corporate world for over 10 years of my life, close to 20 years. And I felt there's something I could give, pick up administrative skills and everything. I could do that. And that's how I just like, okay, you know what? I just had the courage. I tried, to be honest, I was scared so many times. I tried to do it, tell myself, oh no, who's going to want to employ you? You just stay at home, mom. Who want to employ you? Who wants to get your services? And considering, to be honest, coming from the ethnic background, there are many people with better skills, but the fear wants to stop you.
Yeah.
I know one day I was just so tired. I was just so tired of all the, the conversations in my head, all the times you just sit down there, talk to yourself with nobody, talking to the wall, and have that battle with your mind, with yourself. And I said, well, you know what? What's the worst that will ever happen? Nobody's going to employ me. Let me just check how to put myself out. Went on Google to see how to put myself out there, read some courses, and try to brush myself up with what is required of me. And I joined some groups as well. Facebook, by Google, I joined some groups to see what I need. And that's how I brought myself out initially as a VA. And I started, seeing any job and applying. And this day I saw an application on LinkedIn. And it was like, oh, I think this is just what I'm looking for. And when I wanted to apply, I saw that they were no longer receiving applications because it was filled up. I felt sad. But you know what? I said, what? I'm not going to let it stop me. I'm going to directly send a message to that lady, and which I did. And to be honest, she got back to me. And that's how the journey started. I got the job. Even though the application was closed, I still had the courage to say, you know what? I just sent her a direct message to say what? I'm interested at everything, the boxes. I may not tick everything, but I think I'm able to do this. And she employed me, and that's how I started as a VA initially. And down the line, while working as a VA with them, the business I was working with had a bookkeeper, and the bookkeeper left, and they needed someone quickly to feed in. And you were like, it's not hard. Initially, I was scared. I was like, what's bookkeeping? What is this? And they're like, you could do it, and just a software. And what I was doing, I realized, oh my God, this is what I used to do as a corporate world, because I was in the finance industry all my corporate life. I'm like, is this what bookkeeping is? This is what I know. This is what I do. I didn't know that I could do that virtually as well. And that's how the light bulbs started. Like, you know what? I'm going to dump on this VA other thing because I was not really enjoying the other aspect. But I love numbers. I've always been a number person. That's what I did in my corporate world. And having to know that, realize that I could do this virtually too. And that's how I started. And that's why I went back to train as a bookkeeper, even though I had the background as a finance person, but I still went back, this bookkeeping training, became certified. And that's how I started my bookkeeping journey. And the rest is history. And that's how I've been doing what I'm doing right now.
Well, it's a fascinating story because, all my questions, a lot of my questions would have been around, okay, so how did you do this? What happened there? How did you open this opportunity? But it feels like you're somebody who, one, you were willing to do the research to obviously get you to that next step. But equally, you were brave enough to reach out to somebody despite, I know how lonely and isolating it is when you are a stay-at-home mom and you're not going out networking and meeting other people. But you had that, courage to contact the lady you contacted, and she gave you that opportunity as a stepping stone. And the rest, like you said, is history. And this is where you are. So it's really amazing, really. What sort of advice would you have to other mums? Because obviously you've just gone in and done all these things, but what would you say is the most important thing to give to other mums who are feeling isolated and feel like they're not going to be able to do anything or start a business or anything like that?
Yeah, to be honest, Esther, I know it's not easy because they'll say, oh, it's easy for it. It's not easy, and it wasn't easy, and it's still not easy. I'll say that right now. Mm-hmm. But one thing I'll tell people, we should never let fear stop us. People say, oh, you're a coward. Being a coward, being a coward is not without fear. Everybody does everything with fear, But when the fear arises, it's doing it afraid, Like I always say, there's something I always say to myself, that we are not cowards because we feel fear. Mm. We are only cowards if we let the fear rule our decisions. So in everything we do, it's not that we don't do it. What I'm doing right now is not I'm not doing it without fear. But it's when I let the fear stop me that will become cowards. So in whatever it is that you think you can do, whatever you think, that idea that comes to your mind, what's the worst thing that can happen? Give it a try. Say it to somebody. Just think about it. I know we're so much in that. That's how I felt in that box. I just felt like I was in a box and I felt like I don't know how to explain the emotions. I know how we feel. You feel lonely, you drop off the kids, you do everything. I feel like there's something more I can do.
Yeah.
There's something how we could, people say, oh, get part-time jobs, and to be honest, you have different people try to give you different suggestions saying that, oh, you could do night jobs, you could do this and you do that. But if you don't want to do that, it's fine. Or if you don't, or they don't might not understand how tired you are at the end of the day and having to go work in the night, it might not suit you because people say that, especially for people of our background, they tell us, oh, there's so many people doing it. You could do the night job. You could, while the kids are sleeping, you could do this. Your husband could be at home, or if you're ever a single mom or anything. But they don't know how difficult. We're different. And if that's not what you want to do, what is it you really want to do? That idea that comes to your head, research. Thank God we have so many online skills these days, Google, so AI, YouTube. There's so many free resources everywhere these days. And that's what helped me. I went online, I Googled different things. What can I do working from home, jobs, businesses? Think of it, see the skills you have. And I say to myself, there is something you can do. If you feel, oh, there's nothing, I don't have anything, there is something that somebody needs from you. I always say to myself, we are not all perfect. We don't have all the knowledge, all the skills. Even in what I'm doing, we need other people, like a body. We need a hand, we need the mouth, we need the nose. The nose can't say, I can't live without the eyes. I can't live without the ears. That's not true. So to make up a body, even a business owner, to make up something, somebody needs something from one person. They need this knowledge from somebody to make things work. So you might be that missing puzzle in somebody else's business or somebody else's life. You might be the support this person is looking for. So that talent or that skills you're looking down on, you think you don't know, or you believe you can't make anything or add to anybody, utilize it. Is it cooking? Do you like cooking? Do you like speaking? Do you like talking? What is it? You think you love doing? Look around you as a mom, especially a stay-at-home mom. The skills, even taking care of children, there's a lot of skills. There's so much things that you learn and pick up, training children. You learn so much from them. There's a skill you have there that you put to use, you can put it in something to use. So think of it. What is it? That little thing you think is small, that small seed, just keep watering it. And before you know it, you're adding something to somebody else's life. It might just be one person you're able to help. From there, it grows.
Well, you've mentioned so many things that I love in there. And like you said, the whole thing about if you just let fear sort of dictate, obviously you're not going to be able to carry through. But one of the things you mentioned, I say that to my children and the people I mentor about, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? It's the same as asking. It's if you hadn't reached out and sent that message on LinkedIn, you wouldn't be where you are today. But you had that courage to just reach out and sort of, you probably had the mindset of what's the worst that can happen? I'll send the email. If they're not interested or they've already filled the position, then I'll try again somewhere else, but it was worth doing. So it's almost like just a reminder that sometimes we let this fear hold us back and we don't try. But it's also that fear of, what's going to happen. But I think when you look at it in a different way, like what's the worst that can happen, it kind of like, am I going to lose my life? No. So, is it going to impact, our children, our house and stuff? No. So, okay, that's fine. You kind of do a tick box and search. But you must have had quite a mindset shift yourself, basically, from, just starting over again, especially you've moved back and forth, different countries, and then you've got children who have their own different needs, not one, but two, and then a third one. What sort of things did you implement? What kind of things did you have to change in your own mindset to overcome, that fear or that hurdle of just getting started and moving on?
Yeah, so the first thing I tell myself, because to be honest, and like I said, It's what that we have so many things. Our mind is very powerful. I tell you, it is very powerful, and we have to be careful what we allow ourselves to think of. Because I'm a woman of faith, and there's something that says that as a man thinks, so he is. So whatever you think in your mind, if you tell yourself I can't do this, then you won't do it. If you tell yourself I can't do this, then you would be able to do it. If you tell yourself, if people around you are saying that, oh, don't bother because there's so much noise around you, say, oh, well, who do you think you are? Why do you think you can make a difference? You understand? There are people better off than you. There are people that are more qualified. There are people that have better skills than yourself. Why would they want to employ you? Why would they want to use your services? When those thoughts start, and most times these thoughts at times are in our own head, not even anybody saying it to us. And there might be people around you saying such things to yourself as well. But you have to tell yourselves constantly. You have to renew your mind. You have to renew your thinking. So for myself, of course, initially I was scared, like I said, thinking, oh, who wants to use my services? Communication, because to be honest, I have an accent, and I'm like, what I want to do, and in a different country, coming from a different background, the culture is different, everything is different. Even though I schooled here, but still, I was not born and raised here. I was born and raised in Africa, but I came back here, I schooled here, I lived here for a while before going back, but still, there's a difference. I told myself those things, but like, you know what? If I tell myself nobody wants to employ me, then nobody wants to employ me. But if I tell myself I can do this, there's somebody out there that needs my services because I'm good at this, because I know I can make a difference to somebody's business, to somebody's life. I can help that person because they need my help. Then you'll be surprised at what you'll be able to do. You just take one step. I like using children because I have, as an example, when a child is trying something out, I know how they like to experiment with things. And if a child, for example, if they fall down, that child cries at that instant. But the next thing, they're standing up, doing that same thing that hurt them. It's something like, didn't you just learn from that? But you see the kids, they still, the perseverance they have in that. And I think it's their mind. They're just like, if we have a mind like a child, like a baby, because there's nothing that is stopping them, to be honest. Have you seen a child, maybe you're down somewhere and they just, hey, mommy, and you look up and they just jump at you just like that, and without they believe you're going to catch them. So if we have the mind of a child, you understand, the mind that they don't reason things out, to be honest. At times they don't think things through, they just do it. That's how they do it. If they feel I want to just throw that thing, they're going to throw it. I'm going to climb on that, and even though they are not old enough to climb it, they're going to go climb it. And at times, like, why did you do that? They don't think things through. But I think we think things through just too much. We overthink things as adults, and that's what the mind does. So if we say like we said, put our mind to it and say, okay, this is what I want to do, then go ahead and do it. Like I said, like you said, what's the worst that's going to happen is a no. And if it's a no, you pick up yourself again and pivot, try something else, try something different. You understand? Nobody is perfect. We don't know it all. And I keep saying to myself, it's not how many times we fail. If you think, oh, I've done this, it's failed, I've done it, it's not how many times we failed. But what makes us a failure is we quit trying. We stop trying. That's what makes you a failure. So whatever it is, it's just your mind. Just get up that courage. I'm not there yet myself. There's some things I want to do, like, oh no, but you know what? Pick up yourself. Do it. Show up, and you'll be surprised at what difference it could make. To be honest, that's what it is.
Yeah, no, that's really fascinating. I love the correlation with the kids because honestly, I'm a mom of 5 myself, and exactly what you're saying. I've had sometimes when you just think, how on earth did you get up there? And then like they call you for the help to get down, but at least they've given it that go to say, I am gonna climb up here. And then they struggle to get back, but they know, okay, I'll call mommy. And like you're saying, they just come from nowhere and just decide to jump or do something because they believe that you are going to be there, you are going to catch them. And I think as we get older, we are just worried about all those things. You worry about what are people going to think, you worry about who's going to have your back, and so many other things. And then there's the social media era as well, where there's so much noise on there. There's so many things that look so perfect, but that's not always the reality of what people are going through and what people are actually experiencing in their own lives. Because let's face it, not there's a few people that will post every single thing, and if the house is a mess or this and that, they'll still put that as it is. It's like, this is who I am. But the majority are gonna put the nice pictures when they're all dressed up. when their house is clean, when they're having a meal, when it's just so picture perfect. It's not really showing what is real and what's actually happening around. But it's what you're doing as well in terms of the financial things is quite important, because I've spoken to, again, a lot of businesses, different sizes, and that's an area that's really quite scary. And what would you say, obviously you're helping people with the financial clarity. What would you say is the importance of them understanding and having that financial clarity within their businesses?
Yeah, so what I tell, thank you for that question. What I tell most people, most business owners or the clients I'm working with, because what I realized, especially, I'm so passionate about women, sorry, pardon me for that, because we wear so many hats, we juggle so many things. And, running a business, people just think, oh, to run a business, and what they're bothered about is the HMRC, paying their taxes and everything. But beyond that, why do you have a business? Why are you running the business? I'm sure you're not just running the business because you want to run a business. It's because you're in a business because you want to make profit, you want to make income, you want to make a change to your finances or your financial life. But I like saying this all the time. I ask people, how would you feel if you're driving a car without a dashboard? And people are like, oh, I couldn't drive a car without a dashboard. That's how I know what's happening, the signal. But that's what most people are doing in their businesses. They're just running their business without understanding the numbers. And all the time, profit doesn't equate that you're making, a turnover, a great turnover revenue doesn't make equal to profit, because most people just get the money but spend it. So it's very important to understand your budgets, what's coming in and how much is going out. You understand what it is, the things you're spending your money on. Do you have a clear understanding of where all your money is going to, and how important those things you spend your money is to the success of your business, and the things you can do without, or improvise with something cheaper, or if free. There's so many free things around, but you'll be surprised at the things people just throw money at. At the end of the year, at the end of the month, they just realize, oh, where did all the money go? And some of them, at the end of the year, even for the tax man, they don't even have the taxes to pay because they've made so many money. You tell them this is all you made, and at the end of the day, they made at a loss, and like, oh, where did all the money go? So I think people have to understand and have a budget. And I tell people it's like a vision board. You don't have to wait to the end of the year to know what you've made, but having a goal for yourself quarterly, monthly, to have an understanding of like, oh, this is what is coming in. Let me allocate it to particular things, subscriptions, networking, different things. Look at the ones that you really need to spend the money on, and the ones you can't do without them. They're all the free tools, but people are just quick to pay for subscriptions, pay for that, and you'll be surprised at times that some of the subscriptions you're paying double, because there are some things that can do what other things can do, and you don't realize it. Some people have some software that can do another thing, another software they have is doing. But because people are talking about, like you said, social media, somebody's advertising this, it's like the next hot thing, and like you just want to do the shiny objects, and you just want to have this tool. And some people, because they feel, oh, to be a business person, you have to have all of this. That you're ticking all the boxes. I have the website, I have this, I have that. But times you don't need all of this to make things work. Now, other way you can walk around, there are free tools you can utilize. And when you get to that level, you think what you need, you have to pay for it, then go ahead. But I think we just have to sit back. But like you said, but there's so many times people are so busy because like I said, there's so many things, there's life happening to you, family, kids, you're caring for someone somewhere, you have the business you're running, you have a passion for what you're doing, but you don't have the time to sit back and look at the finances. So that's why in everything, even as you're growing, you need other people to come together to look at what you're doing, to have a second look, a second eye, to look at your numbers, look at what you're doing, to say, oh, hang on, this thing, is it right or is it not right? And that's in doing that, you're able to thrive better. That's what I believe.
Yeah, no, and that's really important. But it's not even just for businesses, because I think it starts off with children basically when they're younger and stuff, because there's a lot of issues and a lot of gaps with financial literacy and just having an understanding. Because I remember with mine when they were younger, and it's like sometimes it's like, oh, it's only £5 or it's only whatever, but it's almost like having that explanation of saying, okay, so yeah, even if it's only this, but if you're doing that every week, you realize how much you've actually spent over the course of a month, over the course of 6 months. And just explaining that, because it's easy to sort of say, oh yeah, you can have this or have all these gadgets. But like you said, I think that's a massive issue as well, that I've seen, that people want to have every single app that's existing because somebody said it's good. And there's a lot of noise because there's so much on offer. There's so many courses. And you learn different things at different courses, but it's almost like you have to go to the drawing board and actually analyze and see what you actually need, what applies to your business and everything. And so with regards to people working with you, where can they find you, and how can they work with you?
Also, I'm very active on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is my go-to social media. Like what I preach, what I practice. I practice what I preach, rather. So for myself, I'm not the social media type. I'm not everywhere, but I just stick to LinkedIn because that's what well with me to juggle everything. So you find me on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. I'm not active, but if you want to find me on Facebook, you can find me on Facebook with Bunmi Jejeloye. But on LinkedIn, I'm Bunmi Jejeloye too. But Bookkeeper. So if you search Bunmi Bookkeeper, you'll find me on LinkedIn. I have a website as well. I could drop the link as well. Anybody else contact me via my website, that's good too.
Oh, yeah. Fantastic. And have you got any sort of specific sizes that you work with, or do you just generally work with, small, medium enterprises and stuff?
Oh, yeah, so small businesses. I work with startups too because it's always good to catch them young and green, because it's always good to start on a good note. And I'm always happy, to work with startups, because some people say, oh, you can't work with startups because they don't have the money to pay. But I'm always happy. They need help too as well. It's just better, like I said, to get it right from the onset. You might not have the income yet to pay steadily, but I tell them you don't have to pay a bookkeeper or myself or anybody monthly. It could be quarterly. Just somebody having a good eye to see that you're doing things well, or somebody to show you from the beginning what you require to do, and just like an accountability partner say, oh, this is right. So startups, small to growing businesses, yeah, people I love working with.
Oh, yeah. Fantastic. Well, I will, when the episode goes live, I will have the link to your website, the link to your LinkedIn, so people can find you. But it's been really insightful, and I really appreciate your time and all the things you've shared, which I think will resonate with a lot of other people and a lot of mums that are feeling a bit short, or just to give them that bit of courage to go on. But equally, for those that are already in business, to kind of have a look at their finances and try and sort that thing out without being scared of them. Because there's people like you that are there to help alleviate that side of the problem. So thank you so much for sharing, and thank you for being on the show today.
Well, thank you so much, Esther. It was really lovely coming here and speaking with you. And I hope everyone listening to this gets something out of it, to push them. And I wished, some years ago, like I said initially, when we started speaking, I knew some of these podcasts, but it is what it is. I'm here right now. I know about it. We learn as we grow. And one thing I would say to people, and I've started doing and learning to do, and which has helped me to grow more, is speaking up. Speaking out, looking for people, connect with people. That's how I met you, Yeah. Try and go out as much as you can. Try and network as much as we can. Nobody's an island. You can't do it all by yourself. You need people. You need a right set of community of people behind you that will propel you and will help you. So we should try to surround ourselves with the right set of people that will help us along our journey as well.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Esther, for having me.
You're welcome.